contest. One of the matchups, Raiders-Chiefs. Wilds with what some on this show considered an insane prediction actually called the upset in this one.
You got it. Wilds, why didn't you bring that to me? I'm supposed to be wearing that.
Because
you didn't bring it to me.
I am the ultimate team player, Jenna. When I saw that this game was getting out of control and you were down by 2 scores, I texted Nick and I said, I don't want you wearing the jersey. And he said, no, I'll wear it. I'm like, I actually don't. I can't have you celebrating LeBron while wearing a Jordan jersey. That proves that Nick's take integrity.
That's a good team.
Supersedes his knowledge of how a TV show should work. So I am pulling in front. I'm not letting you wear the Jordan jersey. It would be awful for the show if you're out there talking about LeBron. Like,
tomorrow.
Why is he wearing a Jordan jersey? Yes, it's a rain check.
Brandon,
and you need to get your own jersey. You
you
don't get to wear this one.
Just real quick, credit to the Raiders. Chiefs played terribly, but just so everyone understands, while I appreciate that, Wilds, my offer was on a one-time basis. This rain check does not exist. I offered to wear it today if the Raiders
absolutely
won.
It does.
They won. You didn't bring it to me.
I wasn't gonna
so
mail
now I
you
guess
the
it'll
jersey.
never be worn.
What can I
You
ask?
gotta
What
go,
happened to your Chiefs? What happened?
Yeah, we're going to talk about them later.
Quick,
Listen, they lost for the first time in 310 days. It's bound to happen. Happens. I'm not worried. You're not going to be able to bring me down today. Tell you that much right now.
Special Super
The Chiefs
6
can lose for the next
coming
month.
this
LeBron's
weekend.
still shining that 4th ring, baby.
Terry Bradshaw's putting up $1 million this week. Make sure you get your picks in for free before kickoff on Sunday for your chance to win some of that. You could be a millionaire. All you got to do is correctly predict the outcome of 6 NFL games. Easy enough. I mean, none of us could do it, but you definitely can at home.
If Terry does that 10 times,
Brandon
might go play for the Jets.
Ooh, super squad. What?
Time now for a collection of 4 things. First, Brandon, you're up. You loved your Super Bowl team staying undefeated.
Oh, look at this. This is great.
Mr. Professional Better. Nick, do you know the odds going into the season of me picking the 2 Super Bowl teams? It was plus 100,000.
Yep.
These guys are 9-0 right now, and they don't look like they're slowing down. I love what I'm seeing out of the Steelers, and they're just now getting going. They need to tweak a few things on defense. And the same in Seattle. If we tweak just a few things, I could be winning $1 million. Woo!
I don't think you made the bet. Hot. Wait, hold on.
Clever call from Clemson.
Jenna, this is a life lesson for all our viewers out there. And you should have learned it already, but Miami did not. If something looks too good to be true, it probably is. If the offensive line is just frozen and not moving as you rush the quarterback, something may be afoot. It's a great play by Clemson, smart play call. But just remember, next time the offensive line is just sitting there, it's probably a trick play, guys.
Little heat wave.
Yeah, listen, I want to give Jimmy Butler his credit. He was absolutely brilliant in games 3 and 5 of this series. He was spectacular the entire postseason, carrying this Heat team far further than their talent would otherwise allow them, which is why it is such a shame that nobody in the entire bubble had their legacy take a bigger hit this year than Jimmy's. Because as we all know, and as well-established NBA rules, nothing is worse than losing in the finals. So Giannis's legacy goes up because he's 0-0 in the finals. Jimmy, on the other hand, drops to 0-1 in the finals. And I've been told for a decade, worst thing you can do is lose in the finals. So while I'd love to give Jimmy Butler legacy points, turns out he hurt himself.
You see what's happening here,
Would have been better off if they lost in round 1. I just, those are the rules, as I've been told.
All right, I would like to name a comeback player of the year already just 5 weeks into the season, and that is Alex Smith. Alex Smith took the field yesterday for Washington. For the first time in 2 years, his wife and his kids were there. Remember 2 years ago, he had that devastating, gruesome injury 17 surgeries later, he had got sepsis, it was infected. They talk of amputating his leg. They said he might never walk again. And then to walk out onto the field with his wife in tears and his kids on hand and actually to play football again is one of the most remarkable stories you will ever hear in the NFL. And a season that has already been marred by so many injuries. It is so refreshing to see this out of Alex Smith. So welcome back to the NFL, Alex. It is great to see you here. Something that we all hope we're going to be able to say to Dak Prescott at some point. The Cowboys quarterback, well, this is just hard to watch, suffered a compound fracture and dislocated his right ankle in the third quarter of Dallas's win over the Giants yesterday. He knew immediately that this was bad, carted off the field with tears in his eyes, rushed into surgery last night. His season is now over. The recovery timetable for an injury like this expected to be 4 to 6 months. Here's his head coach, Mike McCarthy, on quarterback Dak Prescott.
You know, I feel terrible for him. He was having a tremendous year, just, you know, my short time working with him. He's made such an impression on me, and he's, you know, clearly the leader of this football team, and I have no doubt that he'll bounce back from this, and you know this will be all part of his great story. This will just be another chapter in a great story. He's a fine young man and an outstanding quarterback.
Well, this was some good news. Dak's brother, Tad, posting this picture before Dak went into surgery last night. Looked like the quarterback was in good spirits. You know, Brandon, the one thing we talked about with Dak Prescott coming into the season was his durability and how he just doesn't go down. It's just such a horrible, horrible thing for this to happen. What was your reaction to how devastating this was for Dak Prescott?
Well, first of all, my reaction watching the game live, I was sitting there and I had my wife and my 3 children all at the kitchen kitchen table.
Kitchen counter.
And I just screamed. Yeah, there you go. Help me out there. And I just screamed. I screamed so loud that my 5-year-old daughter started crying. And she looked at the TV and she saw his leg hanging to the side, and my wife immediately grabbed her and she said, "Baby, remember, this is what happened to Daddy when we were living in New York. Remember, and Daddy was okay. He got surgery and then, you know, he ended up being okay. Dak is going to be okay." And I remember just feeling like, man, I don't even want to watch the game anymore. I don't want to watch any football for the rest of the day, because I thought about him leaving so much money on the table. My agent and I, year 1 of my career, I played 13 years. We said, there's one thing we're not going to do. We're never going to play that last year out because we have all the risk. And if you just look at it from a business perspective, it's not good to own all the risk. You have a team and you have player, and you can't do that. Now, was it devastating? 100%. Is it devastating to him and the organization? Yes. But you got to think about this. If it was any other position, this guy would not be getting a contract. If it was a running back, if it was a wide receiver, defensive end, kicker, it doesn't matter. No one's going to give you a contract next year. You have to go out there and earn it. So now Dak probably is going to get what he wanted coming into this year, a short-term deal. That's what Dak wanted. Dak wanted a 3 to 4 year contract so he can get back to the table when the TV money rose again. But when you look at this, you never know as a football player when that end is near. You never know when you walk onto the field if the next play is the play. You just talked about Alex Smith being the comeback player of this year. Look what happened to him. Amazing career, so much success. In the blink of an eye, his whole leg is cut in half pretty much. And we're talking about him never playing football again. Maybe not able to walk again. Maybe they're going to take his leg. So when you're Dak Prescott, you bet on yourself, and no one can ever challenge you and argue with you believing in yourself. But when you play in the NFL, you have to really think about, how can I get a deal done, even if I have to give a little bit up. So those are the 2 things that came to my mind, was the injury, how, I sustained something similar to that, and it took me 1.5 years to get back to 95%, and then the money that was left on the table.
So as far as the contract goes, Brandon, my initial reaction was similar to yours, but in a slightly different way. When it was clear what had happened to him, what went through my head was, I wonder if that was his last snap as a Dallas Cowboy. And then I thought more about it, and I said, you know what? I actually think the opposite of what my initial gut is. I think this actually ensures that he's going to sign a long-term contract with the Cowboys for a lot of the reasons you laid out. Because the Cowboys are, I believe, still going to offer him at least a 4-year deal. It might not be quite the top market-breaking salary he was otherwise going to get, but it'll still be lifetime generational wealth. And for a guy who has bet on himself and, played this year under the franchise tag, last year under the last year of a way under market 4th-round pick rookie deal, I think Dak Prescott's going to end up signing that contract. And while I understand your point about how long it took you to get back to 100%, because of the position that he plays, I think maybe his recovery might be slightly quicker than a guy who has to explode off the line of scrimmage every play, has to change direction every play. But my other takeaway, Wilds, and I know we're not showing the play because it's so gruesome, but prior to the tackle, it was a little bit of a microcosm for how Dak has carried himself, which is, if you can visualize the play, he had like 7 yards and could have gone down. And then he fought for an extra 2. And that's where he got rolled up on. He was trying to hold off the defender, and that's where he ends up getting hurt. And for a guy who was a 4th-round pick, for a guy who's never missed a game due to injury, for a guy who's been one of the most talked about, scrutinized players in the whole league, he's fought for everything. And fighting for that last inch is what ended up derailing, obviously, his entire season, the Cowboys' entire season, and we hope not his entire career. But I do think this almost ensures that Dak Prescott's going to be the quarterback for the Cowboys for the next few years, which oddly, prior to the injury, was in doubt.
Yeah. Well, I hope so, Nick. I think I've never met Dak Prescott in my life, and I was like really shaken up. I was like really sad watching the game and seeing Jason Garrett come out there and hug Mike McCarthy. It just really felt like the entire NFL family, no matter what team you were on, was pulling for Dak as he was carted off. And then the next play, Brandon, Andy Dalton comes. I was like, whoa, they're playing football. The next play, Andy Dalton comes in and gets a sack. And I was like, I'm not ready to watch the game. Never mind people that are playing the game. How do you, I don't know if you've ever had this situation. I'm guessing that you may have. How did the Cowboys players turn it around and start playing and eventually win the game after seeing their leader go down, when me as a viewer, and you were watching it too, so you don't even want to watch the game?
Well, let's start with the cliche, next man up. I mean, we're literally trained that way. I started playing football at the age of 6, and that was embedded in my head then, next man up. We knew, and this is what makes this story so, devastating, because we know as players that it's inevitable that you're going to get hurt. So we know that if a guy goes down, the next man on the bench better come in and be ready to play. So to answer your question, Wilds, it's just like how we're trained. We operate that way. We know that a guy's going to go down every single play. That's why you see guys on the sideline with their helmets in their hands, waiting for their moment, because it's going to happen. Look across the NFL, not just at Dak.
Well, our wishes go out to Dak Prescott, in which will undoubtedly be a long recovery for him. All right, we're going to switch gears now. LeBron James took home the title, his 4th last night. Check out the King FaceTiming his mom from the locker room floor.
Mama! Mama! Hey, Mama. I had to leave the locker room. They going crazy in there right now. I had to get away.